Hi guys. Well, Statfold has been and gone, and what an amazing event it was. It was actually my first time visiting this narrow gauge mecca, so I was in awe for most of the weekend. So apologies if my mouth was hanging open if we met. After setting up, I dropped the car off at the top field and started to walk down to the hall. But then I saw steam, and I followed my nose. It turns out I was just in time to grab a train. So we had a Sibutu Pull in this train, but being Statfold, that wasn't the only loco in steam. On the way out of the station, we passed Sybil Mary and Jack Lane on double-heading duties. And then the infamous Fiji leaving the yard. I'm sure Alec will correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm sure Westcliff Works makes a model of this one. This place is an odd one. It doesn't feel like a traditional line, because it isn't. It feels much more like some chap just with a load of money has built an actual railway around his garden. Because he did. It's also like a Where's Wally page. Wherever you look around the site, you spot another engine. That could be in the Roundhouse, or out the front by the car park, under a lean-to roof around a hedge, or even up on a shelf as you walk through the door. And yes, they have actually done that. So this was the first part of the line, and before long we reached the next station. This platform leads you straight into the hall that I had corris in. But as this was before the punters were allowed in, I thought I'd check out the Roundhouse that everyone kept telling me to see. Well, that and get a sausage sandwich. I've seen photos of this, so I knew what it was, but blimey I wasn't prepared for it. I was just going to make a joke about this chap being a hoarder, but I can't because the whole site is absolutely spotless. I genuinely had to ask Joey if this Roundhouse was just a museum. Well, it turns out it kind of is, but they actually use it. I won't spoil it all if you haven't been before, but there's stock in that room that I didn't know I'd see. Including some in a beautifully modelled war scene, like a massive diorama. But anyway, my aim this weekend, well, aside from running Corrish, was to film the narrow gauge layouts. I decided I was never going to get round everything with the standard gauge, and in the end I only filmed a handful of narrow gauge layouts. But lucky for you, they're all pretty darn nice. The first of these was the Ashover Light Railway. It might well have been my favourite layout of the show. It wasn't huge, but the atmosphere was just so peaceful. It's the type of layout that I could happily sit and watch for hours. The colours that were used were all in the same tones, so everything blended so nicely together. And it was well lit, and that's something that's so important to show off your work. The last time I did a review of layouts in an exhibition, I think that was Worley, People moaned that I was being mean or something, so lucky for those grumpy geese, I had absolutely no criticism of this one. Oh, hang on, yes I did. The couplings needed to be weathered to match the stock, but that really is a minute thing. And I'm only really saying that to annoy those people. GWOG Arrin was always a crowd favourite, but this was the first time I'd actually seen it in person. If the owners were watching this, you know what I'm about to say, because we discussed it. But it turns out that this and Corrish were both built under similar conditions. This layout's build was pushed on from demand for the owners to post pictures of updates online, as I had with YouTube videos with Corrish. The layout's similar also in that it's a roundy. Okay, this one has sidings and stuff, but still, the main track plan is. And they both have a central scenic break. What I love is twofold. The first point is how the modelling figures have been carefully chosen to show a timeless figure. The theory on the scenery is similar to mine also, in that you can't just slap a layer of scenic grass on and call it a day. It's about building it up in stages. Nice. The Welsh Highland Railway was a funny one. We were next to each other for the show, so I spent most of my time watching the boys run it from around the back. The only time I actually saw the scenic area was when I filmed this footage. Though I will say, I really do find it interesting to see how different people work their fiddle yards, and what style they opt for. What was really nice about this layout was seeing a real mix of ready to run alongside kit-built stock. The risk of ready to run is that you see it everywhere and it becomes so boring. Luckily, these boys don't have that issue, and the layout has plenty of interest within the running stock. The trains are also mostly weathered, which adds that extra level of realism and story to the scene. The track plan is also nice. You'll notice that there's also a very small amount of straight sections, which makes the scene very natural. Dant Road is another one that surprised me when I approached it, purely because I was so used to looking at 009 for so long, both Corrish and all the other layouts in the hall. And the first thing that struck me was the sheer presence of the scene, a detail that I'd drawn into particular with the brick houses. You can tell that the builder of this layout was looking closely at reference photos, as they don't just look like a generic house, but one that has a believable backstory. The way that the foreground was blended into the background was well thought out as well. There was always something blocking your view for the divide, whether that's the fence, building or hedge. On the scene itself, I also really like the road detail. That's something that I've been praised for on my 5.5 layout of Pendray. And I can see that looking at this one, how much more interest it gives the layout when you do it. That diesel's looking pretty clean though. Now, I don't have much interest in railways outside of, well, Wales for the most part. Okay, Talyllyn doesn't count here. So this isn't a layout that would usually grab my interest. But what I would commend the owner for here is the running quality. It is essentially a shunting layout, so good slow running is absolutely essential, and they smashed it. I didn't see a single engine stall as I was watching it, and it was almost relaxing watching them slowly move the freight cars around. I could 100% imagine being on my lunch break with a can of Mountain Dew watching the railway do its thing. Sorry, that was an American accent. And then we have Corrish. I took this wider shot to show that it was parked up next to the Talyllyn railway stand, which was why I quickly put together my display of TR stock between us. We got on really well as a team for the weekend, with visitors jumping between us for more information on the railway, and that was lovely. It's certainly something that we're going to try and arrange for future exhibitions. An issue you might have spotted was that I was the only one that didn't actually have a name board or anything like that on the layout, so it was lucky that most people actually knew what they were looking at when they approached it. I'm taking this as a lack of experience in exhibiting because I've only done 2, and something I've sorted out for the next show. The layout itself ran so well for the weekend. We played about on Sunday with TR stock, and one young visitor wanted to see everything running, so that was a good laugh. But on the Saturday, the tattoo ran from 8 till 5 non-stop without missing a beat once. Bachmann should be incredibly proud of the work they've done on that Peter Sam chassis. I also learned that from doing a show at Corris that I need to hook up the wagons into a train and leave it. The couplings are great, but they're so fiddly to keep swapping around under pressure of watching eyes. This is a bit of fun from late on Sunday. I'll turn the volume up to show you why. Saturday evening was signed off by the Statfold putting on a special train for the exhibitors. This was a lovely gesture, and as the journey isn't that long, I decided to film the whole ride. It's worth watching as they put on quite a show going back up the bank. And yeah, that's all I got. As I said, I was really busy, and hopefully I've got some big things coming on the channel after being approached by some well-known faces that quite like to work with me. So that's very exciting. Thanks to Joey and the rest of the Statfold team for inviting me. It was a really special weekend, and thank you to Alec at Westcliff Works for helping me on the layout, mostly so I could go for a wee and grab a drink. And thank you for everyone who took the time to come and say hi and have a chat. I love meeting other modelers who are fans of the videos and who like to give tips and pointers for products for me to try out. Or even just so I can sit back and listen to how great I am, because I like that a lot. Next week we're back on the TR project, and if you came to Statfold, you've already seen the logo that'll feature. Cheers.